Eating clean but still feel bloated, gassy, or heavy after your meals, I went through the same thing. Even on a healthy diet, my gut just felt off every day. But the truth is, bloating is not random, and there's actually three hidden reasons it keeps showing up. So I'm gonna break down exactly what's causing it and how to fix it naturally. So I remember I would always combine, I would have toast for breakfast, like avocado toast, and sometimes even oatmeal, and I always combine it with fruits, thinking that I'm being healthy. I'm getting in my fruits for breakfast, I'm getting in the grains, the bread, okay? But this was actually poor food combining, okay? And this is something that I've never heard of until I seen a man on YouTube talking about it one day. And I started implementing these food combining protocols of how we're supposed to be food combining, combining our food correctly so that it can digest properly, okay? So this was a main one for me because I loved having fruit with other things. I loved having fruit with granola. I love having fruit with nuts, okay? But sweet fruits, especially sweet fruits, because you have non-sweet fruits like cucumbers and bell peppers and things like that. But sweet fruits like berries and melons and bananas and cherries and plums and pears, these are best digested and created to be digested on an empty stomach by itself, okay? So you just want to prioritize fruit just by itself, sweet fruit just by itself, and preferably on an empty stomach before you've had anything, okay? So I'm going to break that down. When we have cooked food, okay, or we have fats like nuts and seeds and avocado or coconut meat, okay, these fats and these cooked foods, they both take hours to break down, okay? There's not a lot of water content in them. There's not a lot of enzymes in them, okay? So, and enzymes just help your stomach break down the food efficiently, so faster, okay? So, and there's no hydration in it, and we're water-based beings, so we need that hydration in our food, and when it doesn't have that hydration in there, it takes a lot longer for our bodies to process it, okay, and fully break it down and to eliminate it out of our bowels, okay? Now, when we mix that, so if we have some cooked food, right, and we wait even 3 or 4 hours after and have some fruit, that cooked food is still not fully digested, or those nuts you had 3 or 4 hours ago not fully digested yet, okay? So when we eat those fruits on top of that, that fruit mix in with that and it causes fermentation in our gut, okay? And this fermentation causes bloating, okay? So we want to prioritize just combining our food correctly, okay? And if we think about this, eating fruit on an empty stomach, it just goes down easily. It's super hydrated, super juicy, super smooth, hydrating, okay? And it just can immediately give us energy, going straight to our bloodstream, straight into our gut, okay? Now think about having some nuts or some cooked food, right? And then having fruit right after, or even a couple hours after. The fruit has to make its way through this, dense, dry, just very dense food, and that causes, fermentation. This causes a whole molecular structure of food, it's not the fruit by itself, okay? It's mixed in with all this other stuff, the oils, the flour, stuff like this. So this really can cause a lot of fermentation. And that was just one example of how I was combining my food in a way that was wrecking my digestion. And once I started implementing a few more of these food combination shifts, my bloating went away almost instantly. I actually made a free food pairing flowchart that actually breaks down all the food combos that people are doing daily, even with healthy foods, that can secretly lead to gas and bloating and that heaviness feeling. So you can grab that down below for free and keep it on hand anytime you're creating a meal. Now, the second thing that is causing your bloating, and I used to do this literally my whole life, probably all of us, if you're out here in the Western world, you go to the restaurants, you go to the family dinners, and they ask what you want to drink with your meal, okay? And I thought this was normal. I thought I would always get water, okay, because I thought this was healthy to have with my meals. I'm hydrating and I'm eating good food, right? But this liquid and solid combination, beverage and food combination in the same meal, is actually diluting your stomach acid. So let me explain further. When we eat foods, right, our stomach acid is responsible for breaking that food down so that none of it turns into undigested waste, because this undigested waste can manifest as different things. Like it could sit there and turn into fat cells, it could sit there and ferment and cause, bloating and heartburn and acid reflux and things like this. So we need our stomach acid to be strong to break down our food efficiently. Okay, now when we drink water, juice, anything, when we drink with our meals or right after our meals, we're actually diluting that stomach acid. We're watering down our stomach acid, so now it's not as strong. Now it can't fully break down our food that we just ate efficiently. So this turns into undigested waste, and it sits there and it's not fully broken down, so it's kind of just clogging up our colon and keeping us backed up. It's keeping us from eliminating and it digesting properly. So now we have this full heaviness feeling. Okay, so we want to prioritize to just have our beverages like 20 to 30 minutes before we eat, hydrate before we eat. And when you do have a meal, you want to wait at least 2 hours to drink anything and fully especially if it's a cooked food meal, since cooked food takes hours to digest, we want to let our stomach do its thing, keep that stomach acid strong so it can fully do its thing. Go for a light walk, assist your stomach in breaking down the food. And so yeah, we want to wait 2 hours after we're eating to hydrate. And instead, since cooked food is very dehydrating, since that is the reason we feel the need to drink with or right after our cooked food meals, is because there's no water content in it. We're water-based beings. We need to be eating a diet that's a reflection of who we are. Okay, so water rich, right? We're 72% water. Our food should have 72% water in it at least. If we are going to have cooked food, we want to, instead of drinking water with it, we want to hydrate with our food. Okay, so if you're having a bowl of lentils, or you're having a veggie burger, or you're having some beans and rice, or whatever cooked food it may be, you want to prioritize pairing it with some non-sweet fruits. Remember, we don't want to pair it with sweet fruits, because sweet fruits are best digested on an empty stomach. You don't want to pair it with fats or cooked food or anything else that's not sweet fruits. Okay, so we're going to use those non-sweet fruits: cucumber slices, celery sticks, bell pepper slices, even lettuce. Okay, we're going to pair that with our cooked food. Okay, so take a couple bites of cooked food, couple bites of that raw non-sweet fruits. Now what this is going to do is not going to dilute your stomach acid, and it's going to instead provide it with the hydration that the cooked food doesn't have to help it break it down. And it's going to provide your body, those raw foods are going to provide your body with living digestive enzymes that the cooked food doesn't have, to help assist your stomach acid in breaking down that cooked food efficiently so that none of it turns into undigested waste. Okay, a lot of us have very weak stomach acid if you're out here in the Western world, just from an accumulation of years of eating processed foods, animal products, hard to digest, complex foods that our body just wasn't made for. We're made in nature. A lot of the foods we have are not from nature. They're just made in factories and laboratories, bags and boxes, and they're just stale and dry and dehydrating. Okay, but besides the fact, our stomach acid is very weak, meaning we can't fully break down our foods all the way, and that's because our foods don't have these living digestive enzymes in them. Okay, so if we are going to eat these cooked foods, we want to prioritize just pairing it with those enzyme-rich, water-rich foods, those non-sweet fruits. Okay, and these are going to keep you hydrated while you're eating that meal and keep it breaking down fully. They're very hydrating and lubricating, going to break down all that cooked food, help your stomach acid out. Okay, because a lot of our stomach acid is very stressed and weak, so those enzymes are going to help repair, rebalance, re-strengthen that stomach acid by giving it a break, giving it space and time, and letting those enzymes do the thing. Okay, now the last reason you feel bloated regularly after your meals is because a lot of it is very dense and complex. Okay, and like I said, it's unnatural, right? And our stomach was designed, we're designed in nature, we're natural beings. I know it doesn't feel like it because we're so disconnected from nature nowadays. We're living in these four walls, these boxes, these houses, these buildings. We work in them, we go get our food from grocery stores, okay? But we are natural beings, so our digestion was made in nature and for nature. This is how you bring the body back into homeostasis, back into balance, okay? And I used to think I was eating healthy, going to the salad bars and getting like olive oil as dressing, and but even then, olive oil is not found in nature, okay? There's nothing that's that concentrated and that, fatty in nature. These oils are very, very concentrated, very, very highly processed, okay? There's nothing in nature that is that concentrated of fat. So our digestion was just not made for things like oils, okay? And if we put it into perspective, we're water-based beings. We know that oil and water does not mix, okay? So that requires a lot of our stomach acid to try and break down this dehydrating oils, okay? It's literally the opposite of water, okay? And this stresses our stomach acid out, and we can't break it down all the way because it weakens our stomach acid. So now we have this oil sitting, and along with so many other things, flour, okay, pasta and bread. We would not be eating flour out in nature, okay? We only do it because we have a pot and water in our kitchen, and we have to cook it for it to be edible, these grains, okay? We would not be out in nature just picking grains and eating it before we even invented fire, before we discovered fire, rather, okay? We were walking around and eating lots of fruits and vegetables, maybe some nuts, maybe some seeds, maybe some leafy greens. We were working with the earth, planting things and eating them. So yeah, the pasta and the bread, very, very dense, very dehydrating, okay? They require a lot of our stomach acid, an unnatural amount of our stomach acid just to break down, okay? So if we are going to eat these foods, we want to pair them with those non-sweet fruits to really bring some hydration and some living enzymes in there. But altogether, you really want to just wean down off of these foods, okay? They're not serving you any purpose. You don't actually need them. It's just food addiction at the end of the day, okay? It's routine, it's habit, it's generational, routines and eating habits, okay? We've been eating these foods our whole lives, so it seems normal, but they're not doing anything for us but causing us blockages and hindering our healing process. The body always wants to heal, okay? It is a natural healer, and this is why we're constantly eliminating, pimples and having bloating, and these are all just symptoms of the body eliminating and detoxing and heal and just trying to heal and come back to homeostasis and balance. But we just keep eating the same foods every day that have us feeling the way we are feeling: stuck, heavy, gassy, bloated, constipated, okay? So just to give you a few, the oils not doing you any good, not bringing you any nutritional value, not bringing you any energy. um, you know the breads, the pastas, the processed foods, the junk food, obviously, tortillas, the microwavable foods, the, packages, pouches, all of these are just dead, and, they have preservatives and fillers in them and gums that are just very hard for your body to break down, and just like sticking in your colon. It's like glue, just like bread, just like rice. All of this stuff is glue. And even dairy is very hard to digest. A lot of stomach acid it requires to break down. Very mucus forming, okay? Very heavy. There's no water content in dairy at all, okay? And we're just not meant to be eating that stuff, okay? We're the only species that drinks another species' milk, okay? Their piss, right? That is meant for a calf to grow 700 to 1,000 pounds in the first year or two of them being born, okay? That's all they consume, and they become massive. So what do you think is going to happen when you drink this stuff? So we just got to come back home, family, to our origin, to nature. We're natural beings. Let's eat more fruits. Let's eat more vegetables. Let's eat more roots, okay? Things that really don't need to be altered in any way just to be edible. I know, roots, you got to steam them and stuff, but I'm personally, I feel great steaming things. I've been experimenting with eliminating foods and adding foods back into my diet for almost 6 years now, and I can easily say that fruits and vegetables are the only foods that do not bloat you or cause, any drainage in your energy levels. The steamed roots, that's like the next one down. They don't, I wouldn't consider them unhealthy. They definitely cause some bloating because, they're just not, they're secondary human foods. They're not optimal first-hand human foods like fruits and vegetables are. You don't need to do anything. They're perfect in their natural state as soon as the sun cooks it, okay? And we really just want to be looking at our diet is how natural is it? How hydrating is it? Okay. Like I said, we are water-based beings. So we need to be not only hydrating from our water, okay, that's just kind of diluting our life, diluting our stomach acids, just diluting everything. And our ancestors they weren't walking around with accessible gallons of water everywhere they went, and filters too at that, right? They had to eat their hydration, okay? And bonus tip, cold water is actually slowing down your digestion and keeping you bloated as well, because your body has to heat this cold water up until it's to its internal temperature, okay? Your body has an internal temperature of, I think, 97 and 98 degrees Fahrenheit. So your body has to use your energy to heat this water up, okay? So this is why you may feel bloated when you drink cold water. And yes, it might feel refreshing, but this is only because you're internally inflamed with all of these dry, dense, dehydrating foods stuck up in you, okay? So in fruits and vegetables, the hydration, the structured water that, hydrates you on a cellular level is way more effective on breaking down foods, getting your colon lubricating and helping you eliminate all this undigested waste that's keeping you bloated way more efficiently than just isolated gallon water or isolated water, okay? So we got to come home, eat for our hydration, eat these natural foods, okay, and just ditch everything else and gradually wean off everything else that isn't natural, okay? We wouldn't be eating bread, we wouldn't be eating pasta, we wouldn't be eating cheese out here in nature, we wouldn't be eating half the stuff we eat, okay? The chips, the snacks, the tortillas, all of this stuff, okay? So it's as simple as that. And so that's everything that has completely helped me eliminate my bloating for good. I haven't experienced any bloating in years. Only when I do have some, massive cooked food meals every now and then, if I'm with family and I have like some poor food combinations going on my dish, or I drink too early after I had some cooked foods because they're so dehydrating, and I didn't get my cucumber slices and celery in with it. Okay, so I know this works. So yeah, if you guys have any questions, comment down below. I'll get to those. And drop a comment on any video you want me to make too, about fruit hydration, dehydration, indigestion, any gut problems, okay? Much love. I will see you guys in the next one. My name is Practitioner Key. Happy healing, family. Cheers.